Hey, my name's Blair. Just got a question for you here. How do you feel about the black community receiving reparations?
I'm against that. Yeah.
Okay. Well, why so?
Well, first of all, what is the black community? So, for example, do you mean like recent immigrants from Haiti or Nigeria?
I do not. No.
Okay, for sure. So you're meaning like ancestral descendants of slaves.
Correct.
That
Yes,
could
sir.
be proven with documentation.
Absolutely.
Right? Okay. So to be consistent, do you believe that other groups that have been mistreated in America should also receive reparations?
What are those other groups?
Well, they're not necessarily by America, but let's just take one. Jewish Americans, right?
Okay.
They almost got eliminated in the Holocaust. Should they receive reparations?
Not from us.
Okay, not from us.
Not
but-
from the United States, that is.
Okay. So here's my view, and I want to hear yours,
Okay.
which is that I did not own slaves, and you were not a slave.
Correct.
Right. So we are individuals, and therefore we cannot be held accountable or should receive something from something that didn't happen to us or something we did not do. That is a basic law of justice, that I can't be held accountable for something that somebody looked like me did, and you should not benefit from something that somebody you were related to. Now, you would probably say systemic racism and how that passed down through generations. Happy to address that. The problem with reparations, though, is basically what you're saying is I'm going to take money from Charlie Kirk for something he didn't do and give it to a group of something, to somebody of something they also didn't do. For what reason? How is that just?
So not so much how is it just, but there are those arguments that says because of what happened in the past, this group of people have been negatively affected from this nation's crimes against humanity to that certain group of people. And that's how we see it, or how some people see it, if you will.
Okay, sure, but I will say that even if there is some truth to that, which I wouldn't even be willing to grant very much, because Black America was doing incredibly well before the not incredible. They were pacing to be even richer than white America. Is that we must look through the question of is it just and moral to take from one group, especially first and second generation immigrants that had nothing to do with this. So think about it. Your tax base would be taxing, like if anyone here is Irish or Polish and your family came 100 years ago, we would be taxing people that had nothing to do with it. And I'll go a step further. My family fought on the Union side of the Civil War, right? So you're going to be taxing Charlie Kirk, whose descendants fought to free the slaves, to go give money to people that were descended, from slaves. So what is a way that we could try to help all communities? Here's maybe we can find some common ground,
Sure,
right?
I'm listening.
Instead of reparations.
Sure.
Is that we need to break the cartel of public sector teacher unions, allow school choice to occur, and make it easier for people of all backgrounds, but specifically Hispanic and Black individuals and young kids to have a quality education, because a good education in K through 12 is one of the most assured ways that they'll be able to succeed later in life. Secondly, we need to put fathers back in the home.
Yeah, I agree with that.
And that's 70% of Black kids are raised without a stable father in this in the country. So if we can find common ground on that, I think that would go a lot further than just giving cash for people that happen to be related to something evil that happened a little while ago.
What's going on, man? Doing all right? Welcome to Knoxville. I'm up here for one purpose. My buddy is a friend of yours. He lives up in White Pine, and he wants me to have this discussion with you because me and him had this discussion this weekend. What are your thoughts about reparations for Black people specifically, and like Black Americans specifically? What is your
Very much against.
Very much against. Can I ask why?
Well, first and foremost, I don't believe that we should ever pay monetary damages to people where nothing bad happened to them, just because they are related to a group of people where something bad happened to them.
Okay. So
Because it separates the idea. Let me just finish, and then I'll throw it back to you.
Absolutely.
Our justice system, when properly understood, is about individuals receiving justice, not tribes or groups receiving justice.
Also, I want to state that just because I am a Black man, I do not speak for all Black people. So I'm just.
I like this guy. You should give it up for him.
Just want to state that for the record. I'm speaking for myself. All right. So definitely hear you on that. And even for me, when it comes to reparations, for me personally, I don't believe that it should be a check. I think that reparations can look like many different things, whether it's like investment in institutions, more like better schools, hospitals, all that kind of stuff. So my question to you is like, so since you are against reparations, would you say that we should be against? Would you be for outlawing inherited wealth? Does that make sense?
Well, no, I'm not for outlawing that. And those are two different things.
Can I explain my point though? All right. So my point to that is that so what I hear for the argument against reparations is that Black people today, obviously we weren't there, for slavery, segregation, all of that kind of stuff. So we've done nothing to deserve that, because all the people who probably should have gotten it, actually not even probably, who should have gotten it, are either long gone or whatever. Now there's still some who are still with us today, but that's a conversation for another day. But my point is that so inheritance and inherited wealth is something that the great grandfather, whatever, is passed down. homeboy who is here today did nothing to deserve that multi-billion-dollar business, but he gets it because of his bloodline. Correct? Is that how it?
Yeah,
that's
I mean,
how
exactly.
inheritance works, right?
Yeah, no, like
So,
Bronny James is going to get $1 billion.
right. Yeah.
You're
Oh,
right.
I mean, yeah. Sorry. Great example. So what I'm saying is that like, I guess what I'm trying to say is that like, I believe that reparations in and of itself, one, I don't think that the argument is formed right, and two, I believe that it's kind of a reverse inheritance, if that makes sense, where it's like where it's like yes, black people's like me personally, yes, I did not have to suffer through Jim Crow, slavery, or whatever, but all those choices that were made in those times have like gotten necessarily me to where I'm at now.
Got it.
It's
So let me tell you where we have a difference of opinion.
Okay, absolutely.
So we as conservatives tend to underemphasize this idea of many legacies of suffering, whereas people on the left, not saying you're on the left, but the other perspective.
Definitely not.
No, for sure. But that's fine. No, that's fine. Let's just say the other side of the argument tend to emphasize that you are stuck because of something that happened to you many generations prior. We believe, absent very unique circumstances in the United States of America, that is almost never true. For example, we think every individual should be judged by their own actions, their own character, and their agency. Now, let's play this out, though. You're acting as if, not you, but let's say the argument, because you're coming after this in a great way, there's been like no money sent Black America the last 60 years. We have spent over $25 trillion on Black America in 60 years, and Black America's poorer than before we started. We're talking about Medicaid, food stamps, we're talking about schools, public housing. The issue is not the amount of money. The issue has instead been a couple things. Number one, it's been the downfall of the Black family. And unfortunately,
Yes, I agree with that.
yeah, the more money we've spent on this, we've seen the downfall of the Black family. Just some numbers super quick. Is that in 1964, right before the passage of the Civil Rights Act, 75% of Black youth had a dad around. Now it's 25%. So only 25%. So 1 in 4 kids have a dad around. Black dads are no longer a big part of young kids' life. It's a very big problem that has huge ramifications. Then finally on the reparations argument, that comes into just more like concrete questions. Where do you draw the line? Who defines it? And also, why would you tax, for example, somebody like me? My ancestors fought on the Union side of the Civil War, so I got to go pay more money, even though my ancestors did the right thing. No offense if you guys fought for the Confederacy. That's not trying to, drum up any, it's all good. We're all Americans now. I'm not. Why should I have to then go pay for something that my ancestors did correctly? Finally, it's like, how do you prove it? Like. This is not your argument, but it's a hilarious contradiction. The very same people who tell you that voter ID is racist want all of a sudden Black America to prove that they're the descendants of slaves 7 generations ago. Like, let me go get my paperwork together. I thought it's racist to ask people for their paperwork. Anyway, the whole thing's crazy. But here's the more important thing that I think we can agree on, that we should have a opportunity colorblind compact. We need to have school choice in this country so kids can go to better schools and have more mobility. Number 2, reconstitute the Black family. And finally, this is one that you might agree on because you're not a liberal, is that we need to no longer import foreigners that are going to undercut the wages of workers of all races, especially Black Americans.
I agree.
And so what we've done is we imported Nicaraguans and Guatemalans to come take low-wage labor, and we didn't want to pay our own Americans those jobs. So final thoughts on those points.
Also, great points. I would say that I am with you for the idea of a colorblind society. I think it's a bit of a farce to say that colorblind society is something we should aspire to, but I think it's a farce to think that it doesn't exist, that race doesn't play a factor. I
totally agree.
Okay, and so
I will say it plays far less of a factor 10 years ago. It's playing more of a factor today.
Yes, I agree.
In a negative way.
Yes, I 100%. I mean, I think you had mentioned something about DEI like earlier, and I was like, for sure, like the way I agree with DEI in principle, but I think the way it's been instituted by our government and all the other institutions is completely wrong. So, because for me, it's not about seeing color; it's how you treat color. Does that make sense?
Everyone's going to see color. And
exactly.
You're right.
Yeah,
and so it's an ideal that is admirable, being colorblind.
Right.
The problem with we were promised with the Civil Rights Act, we were promised a colorblind society. We now have a color-obsessed society. And it's a breakdown of that promise. Instead, the country I grew up in, at least, was like, yeah, you're Black, but it doesn't matter. It's not the most important thing. Instead, it's, are you a good person? How do you act? How do you treat other people? Are you a Christian? Like, what is your worldview? I want to get back to that. Of course, we're still going to see differences, but I want to de-emphasize them to a place where we look at each other as fellow human beings and fellow American citizens.
Americans,
Thank you so much, man.
Absolutely not.
Appreciate it.